Hey everyone, it's Jackie Folks. Welcome back to Awesome Talk, where we're going to talk 100% real, 100% autism, 100% all the time. So, this is my second week. I'm still building followers, I'm still building my page. So, again, this is a record and upload, but please feel free to leave comments below with any questions you have as you're watching the video, and I'll make sure to answer your questions. And also comment below if you have a specific topic that you'd like to hear my take on. So here we go. Today we're going to talk about friendships and invitations. This is a hard one. I have a feeling that if you're on this journey, you're going to spend a lot of time over the next few minutes with me just nodding along, because you're going to feel all the feels and you're going to have some familiarity with what I'm saying. So we're going to jump right in. We're going to start at the beginning. Preschool, kindergarten, first, second grade, I'm going to say were very easy as far as kids getting along with my kid, because it was so much fun. It was fun to be the one that was assigned to be with Ethan during circle time. He had so many cool books and gadgets, and his schedules were PECs and visual, and he had neat little chairs to sit in. We even purchased a sits chair for circle time for him, and then purchased a second one so that whoever his buddy was that day would also have a little wobble chair to sit in. So that was fun. It was fun being Ethan's buddy and Ethan's helper. And then we fast forward to the years where kids start to have parties and have their friends over, and their birthdays start to grow outside of the circle of aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents. You're all familiar with this. And Ethan was never invited. And I'm not joking when I say never. I'm going to emphasize never invited. And that hurt. Like it really, really hurt. I'm going to stop for 1 minute and preface the rest of this video by saying my son did graduate with an amazing group of kids. In case any of their parents are watching, this is not a video that is meant to harm your feelings in any way or discredit your kids. It's my way of sharing with parents who are on the same journey. So, amazing group of kids. We're going to move forward. So the invitations weren't coming, and it just hurts because you know why. And even the realization that I don't know that I would have been comfortable sending Ethan or that he would have done well didn't matter. It just hurt that there wasn't even an invitation to RSVP no to, if that makes sense. There was just nothing. So then my school, at least the district we went to school in, changed their policy to say that if you invited one, you had to invite all. So if kids brought birthday invitations to the classroom, they had to bring enough for every student. So then Ethan started getting invitations, but they were de facto invitations. He didn't really know these kids. They didn't really know him. He was invited because he had to be. So we didn't really accept any of those invitations. I don't know if you can put that blame on me or the fact that I knew what it was and that he wasn't going to be comfortable there anyway, and the kids still didn't know him enough to have them at his house. So elementary school was hard in that sense, and I love the fact that my school went to that because it does make things all-inclusive in theory, but I know a lot of schools don't do that. So there's a lot of you dealing with just being completely left out. And then you fast forward to middle school. And I mean, there is no candy coating it. Middle school stinks. Kids are mean in middle school. This is where we had the worst time. Not only was Ethan not socializing with kids outside of the building, he was no longer socializing with the kids inside of the building. They would say hi to him in the hallways. And again, nobody was ever mean, but there wasn't sitting with him at the table. He did almost everything with his para, or thank goodness, his older brother was only 1 year above him. So his older brother was kind of like his guardian throughout middle school and high school. And he would always, if he saw him off alone, he would grab him. So he had his brother and he had his brother's friends, but within his peer group, there wasn't anything. there was no riding bikes. There was no going to the park. There was literally nothing. And so that hurt. And I was like, when is this going to get any better? And I signed him up for a club. They had different clubs for sixth graders because they're not old enough to play in school sports, which Ethan wasn't ready for organized sports anyway. But I signed him up for the running club because I thought, he doesn't have to learn anything. He doesn't have to learn positions. He just runs. And the school and I talked and amended his paperwork and his IEP so that he had para support because it was still a school activity. So his para would run with him. And things went really well for a really long time. And then there was one practice where this young man decided he would run behind my son the whole time. And he was poking him in the back and pulling his hair and calling him names, and it was a horrible experience. And his big brother put a stop to it quickly, and we didn't do clubs again the rest of that year because I just didn't feel he was safe. Even with the para, he wasn't safe. So middle school was hard, and I gotta tell you, part of me looking back really doesn't care that he didn't get the invitations in middle school because there were safety concerns, and kids at that age are just not very smart and very nice when it comes to special needs. So in high school, the girls in his class were amazing, and I mean amazing. They were always so kind to Ethan, and again, there wasn't that atypical socialization outside of the building, but it was in the building. And that made me feel really good. And so we decided to get Ethan involved again. And again, my older son is a soccer player. He was on the high school team, and he plays in college now. And my younger son plays too, but Ethan and Garrett were never in high school at the same time. So my older son was able to talk to his coach about Ethan being a manager. And we've had two coaches on the high school soccer team in the time Ethan was in high school, and they both allowed him to be a manager. And what he did was he got the water before and after practices, and eventually moved into getting the water before and after games, and also during halftime. So they were so great with him, and that allowed him to build a friendship with the soccer team. And the coach, the second coach, who's currently the coach, even had a jersey made for him one year with the number 1 on it, and officially declared him part of the team, which wasn't and is still one of the most amazing moments in our lives. So he started to make some friends, and then we decided in high school to have a birthday party for him where we invited kids because we knew they were going to show up, and we knew that he wasn't going to be harmed in any way, and we knew it wasn't going to be a waste of time. And the reason I say all that is because the one party we planned when he was in elementary school, when we thought we were far enough along to do that, I went all out and I rented the party room at T-Rex Cafe, and I paid for a group of 10 kids to go on a dinosaur dig and to have a build a dino experience. And 2 days before the party, we had 2 RSVPs. And the day of the party, those RSVPs backed out. And so I was out all this money, and he was completely devastated. So we called up one of the girls because girls were so, again, amazing with him. And I will never use real names on any of these broadcasts, but we'll refer to her as Macy. And she called her friends, and we were able to gather a group of her friends in that neighborhood and actually have a successful birthday party. And I vowed that day that I would never put him through that again, or me. That was awful. I mean, I just said I would never do it again. So it hurts. And the hurt is real, and you need to feel the hurt, and you need to experience the hurt and not just brush it off, because it'll come back at you out of nowhere and hit you with emotions. And so I think it's best to just deal with these things as they happen. Last Sunday, my son Ethan, at 18 years old, went on an outing in public with his best buddy for the first time in his life. And there's excitement to that, and there's shame to that. And I'm going to share with you a little bit about why I feel shame. Because all those years that I was longing for atypical inclusion, I failed to realize that the peers in his life skills class were probably longing for the same thing. The parents were probably wanting the same type of feelings of inclusion that I was wanting, and we were overlooking that. We were searching so hard for atypical inclusion that we failed to really soak in the fact that it didn't matter if it was atypical. It just needed to be inclusion. And it didn't matter if it was a hard play date with 2 other kids with autism. It just needed to be a play date. And it didn't matter if it was a birthday party that had 10 kids or 1 kid that also shared life skills. It just needed to be a party. And so there is shame in that now. That my son's 18, and this was last week. And I have been such a huge advocate for autism his entire life, and I've never once said, who cares about the other kids in the class? Invite the ones that love him. Why did it take me 18 years to figure this out, people? I don't know, but I don't want it to take you 18 years. This is why I'm sharing this stuff with you. I'm actually ashamed of myself. And when I think about all the pain that I've put myself through by allowing myself to feel like there was nothing I could do when the answer was right in front of my face, you guys, it is an awful feeling. So don't do that to yourself. But I'm going to tell you, we're going to cheer up, and I'm going to tell you about how this play date went, and I'm going to explain to you why my kid is completely awesome. So we go and we pick up his best buddy. Again, we're not going to use names here. So, but this is a kid who's been in life skills with Ethan for years and years. And we pull up in front of the house, and Ethan runs up to the door, and he's like, hey, buddy, are you ready? Let's go. And he helps him get in the car. This kid's quite a bit less verbal than Ethan. His language is not very built up. So we get in the car, and Ethan helps him get his seatbelt on and explains to him where we're going and what we're doing, and we're off. As soon as we hit the highway, they're playing rock, paper, scissors, and I kept watching in my rearview mirror, and I was noticing that I had succeeded in something in all these years because Ethan was losing on purpose, and he's letting his friend win just to feel good. And that's something that I always told my other 2, win, because Ethan needs to know what it feels like to lose, because that's life. But lose because Ethan deserves the joy of winning. And I'm watching in my rearview mirror, and he's doing this with his friend. And when he's losing, he's not getting angry, because when he loses at home, oh my God, it's a fight, and he fights with his brothers. But when he was showing compassion to his best friend and losing on purpose, he was excited to be losing. He was just like, way to go, buddy. This is awesome. I'm so proud of you. And then they stopped doing rock, paper, scissors, and they're playing I Spy. And his buddy was like, I spy something green. And Ethan would intentionally guess it wrong so that his friend could giggle at him and get the point. And then, like, when I would watch Ethan look at something, like the big, huge yellow truck that was right beside us on the highway, and say, I spy something yellow, and his friend would say, truck, and Ethan would say, yeah, that's right. And he was picking obvious things just so his buddy could get him right. And to the flip side of that, if his buddy was way off kilter and clearly got it wrong, Ethan would still say, you got it right. And I just realized that he's amazing. I mean, I've always known that, don't get me wrong, but something that I have done was right. And his compassion and his need to help his friend just made me feel like so good. And it made me realize nothing that I thought would affect him affected him when it came to love and friendship and the right timing when things were supposed to happen for a reason and they happened. Everything is good. He has good friendships now as an adult through Special Olympics where there's no judgment. And there are things waiting. If you have little kids right now and you're feeling left out and you're not getting invited to the parties, there are things waiting for them in the future. Special Olympics is now spreading into schools, so you don't have to wait until they're at the minimum age limit for the outside games. Look forward to that. Don't dread the stage that you're in. Look forward to what is coming. I just really wanted to share this with you because there's sorrow, and there's shame, and there's excitement, and I'm super proud of my kid, and I got to tell you, I'm kind of proud of myself because I did something right. So, yeah, invitations and parties, what do they really matter in the grand scheme of things? And are you looking for the right crowd? I mean, I was so worried about atypical inclusion, which matters. It does matter. But did it matter to the level that I let it affect me all those years? And I just really want you to think about that, because 18 years is a little too late for it to come to light for me. So second week, comment away. Please comment, like, share. Let me know anything else you would like for me to talk about. Leave it below. And then we'll just keep going. Sorry for the tears, but I mean, seriously, sometimes it just sucks and you have to feel it. So thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you during my next video. Bye.